Hi, I'm Dr. Saira,
And I'm Texas Peek.
and this is the Expansion Now podcast.
Yes, and we're excited to be here. Wow, we have some stuff we're going to get into today. May ruffle some feathers.
It might ruffle your feathers.
Yeah, or maybe even ours. 'Cause we have these really cool spiritual axioms around, and one says, live it first, teach it second, which means
Whatever
after we teach, we end up living it.
Yeah, but we're supposed to live it first
Well,
before
we have.
we teach it.
We have.
But then when we teach it, it's like the next level.
well, and
It
it's also,
up-levels us or
yeah, and it's
something.
sort of in real time, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So here we go. We're
Oh,
going
here
to
we
talk
go.
about this, and then God knows what's going to happen to us for the next week.
So if we're not back next week, you'll know it didn't go well for those two guys.
Okay, so the thing that we wanted to talk about today is timing.
Mm-hmm. Or lack of it.
Right. Have you heard that expression, like to be in the right place at the right time for the right reasons?
Mm-hmm.
Well, we can also be in the wrong place at the wrong time for the wrong reasons, which is how I lived a lot of my life.
Yeah. So what's the other option then?
Well, so when it's my cognitive mind in charge,
Mm-hmm.
and when it's my survival-based human mammal in charge,
Right.
then I have an agenda.
Right.
Things have to happen a certain way according to my timing.
Yeah. I love
If
the
you can see
part.
my eyes popping out,
Yeah.
right now.
She has a very loud face. So yes, but that's different, right? So we'll do a little fun example.
Okay.
Cognitive mind
Yes.
goes, I need to go get groceries.
Right.
Okay, so you're going to go get groceries, but you can't know all of the implications that could have, right? Because
Implications of groceries.
yes, because on the way to the grocery store,
Mm-hmm.
if you go at the right time, you get to see a certain person. If you go at the wrong time, you don't get to see that person, right?
If you get the right time, you get the parking spot without
Right.
much looking around.
Yeah, and your perspective on it is, and this is really where it varies, I think, is that when you cognitively, if you get the right parking spot, you won't notice it.
Right. But if you don't get the right parking spot,
So we
it'll
tend
become a thing.
So when we're in our cognitive space, we tend to notice where the contractions hit,
where the problems are.
where the problems are, because it's a problem-solving mind that's taking us through that process, right? When we're the other option, we tend to see what's been provided for us.
So maybe we should start with that basic premise
Mhm.
for those who might be new to the podcast. So the principle that we're teaching through the book The How, which is Monique Peck's book, is that there's only two states of consciousness.
That's a big statement.
That's a big statement. So only two states of consciousness. One is expansion and one is contraction.
Right.
You know, I had a little bit of a debate at the farmer's market the other day. I didn't tell you about this.
No.
Yes.
So I get to learn something.
I was sharing this with a new person
Mm-hmm.
who was introduced to me by someone else. And I said, yeah, there's only two states, expansion and contraction. And then the second part is because of sovereign agency, you get to choose your own state. So sovereign agency is that you get to decide for yourself
Mm-hmm.
your whatever, like you get to make your own life choices.
And they push back a little bit.
And what that person said was, well, then there's homeostasis, which is neutral. And I said,
Right.
please hold. Actually, there is no neutral.
Because that would suggest there's a pause.
Right. And so we talked about, we use the example of a breath.
Right.
You're either inhaling or you're exhaling.
Mm-hmm.
There may be a pause,
Mhm.
right? But generally, when we're in the pause, we're generally in alignment. Don't you find?
Well, yeah.
Like when we're open and when we feel a stillness,
Yeah.
that deep stillness, it's
Yeah.
actually not stillness. We're in alignment.
Well,
We're
I
in
think
this
when we
open
look
state.
at it from an energetic point of view,
Yeah.
all things are vibrating. When everything's vibrating all the time.
Right.
So where's the pause in that?
Right. So
So
I wish
we're-
you could talk to that guy. Maybe you'll get a chance
Yeah.
to.
But so if we're energetically,
Yeah.
we're vibrating.
Well, then he admitted to me after the conversation that he's like, I'm a bit of a blah, blah, blah. And he told me some horoscope stuff. And then he said, so I always like to ask why
No, that's fine.
and push back against ideas. And I'm like, okay, that's great.
That's why Monique wrote the book, The How.
Right.
Because there's
People to understand. So if there's only two states,
Right.
then there's no neutral.
No. So I don't know how you explained this to this person.
Not very well.
I like to lead with the first part, which is that we have sovereign agency.
Okay.
Because if we do it the other way around,
yeah,
it doesn't make sense.
Okay, say more.
Because we're asking somebody who hasn't yet agreed that they have sovereign agency to make a decision, even one decision, which is that there's two states of being.
Oh, damn. It's deep, hey? The sovereign agency thing is freaking deep because we've actually been trained out of that, most of us.
Do you feel that when I said that? It's like, oh yeah, because so you're asking somebody to have a new idea, but they're still in their cognitive mind.
Right. And they're contracted state.
And they're contracted state. So if you say, you have sovereign agency, and even if you agree to that piece,
right,
now you have the possibility to open up to something new.
Right.
And the something new is, right? So yeah, so
yes,
if you can't see,
okay. What if people are not following? Because you and I are getting
we're going to get into that, but also just so you know, there was a lot of head bobbing happening.
Head nodding, not bobbing.
Okay, well,
head bobbing, nodding, agreement.
Okay, so the premise of sovereign agency is key to everything, but it's been stripped away in our Westernized culture, especially because if I have sovereign agency over anything, then who's responsible for that thing?
I am.
Yeah, but that flies in the face of pretty much everything that we're taught.
Can you give us some examples?
Okay, so let's say I go to the doctor.
Okay. And
the doctor is trained, took all this training, and he says, I think you need to take these blue pills. Oh, no blue pills. That's a bad one. That's
like a Matrix thing?
No.
Oh, Texas. You went down a different track.
Okay.
Oh, man.
Okay. Anyway,
some
take
pills.
A yellow pill. Whatever.
Any pill. This white. Most pills are white. Just a white pill.
Anyways, and I go, okay, without any thought of my own, without any checking in, just go, oh, he's the doctor. He's the expert over me.
He knows my body. He knows what bodies
And I have this huge, maybe in that moment, I have this huge, don't take these pills.
You might have an internal response.
Yeah, right, or whatever, and you go, okay, but I'm going to do this because that's what somebody else told me.
That's the whole thing with the placebo effect.
Right, that's why.
If I believe my practitioner, if I have a trusting relationship with the person who's giving me the pills will work, even if
they're sugar.
They're sugar.
Right.
Even if there's nothing in the pill.
Right.
Even if the person who's giving me the pill only has a white lab coat on, and so that lab coat makes me trust them.
Right, but in that, we've given away what? Well, we've given away something a long time ago, which is that we have an ability that we don't practice much anymore, which is to enter a different state of knowing.
Where we can just know internally and intuitively.
Right. So when I work one-on-one with folks, and as you do, we get pushback when we tell people that you're responsible.
Yes, I pushed back when you told me that.
Yeah, but the thing is that, and so a lot of people are in therapy or for a long, long time. Mm-hmm. One of the things that we often talk about is, what would your life look like if you took responsibility for this? And that hits people really hard because they go, well, I want to be.
I would never choose this.
Yeah.
What are you
but
trying
actually,
to say?
You are choosing it.
You're choosing the same responses that you've always had to the same old problem.
Right.
Right.
So the sovereign agency is our ability to have agency over what's happening. The first place that I learned this was that I was taught almost a long time ago, almost 40 years ago, that I had this and that it would work with my emotional state. And I was like, there's no way. And I talked to them about this before. If I'm mad, I'm mad, and you made me mad. That was my loop. Right. But I tried this idea of taking responsibility, and as soon as I did, I got the separation from the emotion, and I was able to observe it. And I went, well, that's different.
Well, and I think it's there's mixed messages out there.
Oh yeah.
Right? Because in the newest wave in psychology, this trauma-informed lens in psychology, it's like, well, I'm just having a trauma response. I'm just having a nervous system response, and I'm not responsible for that. Right? It's just something that's happening to me. I can't control that. And so are we saying that that's untrue? We're saying that there's another way, that there's not just left or right, but there's a middle ground. Okay, can you explain that? So if I have sovereign agency. So say if we're talking about something. Okay, and then I some of my old trauma, like I have some sort of. Your eyes get really loud? It happens all the time. No, but I mean, it's happened to me, right? Where
right.
in the middle of something will trigger, and then I'll feel like a shutdown. That's
Yeah,
kind of how I
yeah.
handle it. Is I check out, like
Right.
I just disengage. It doesn't happen much anymore,
No,
actually.
no.
But it used to.
Yeah,
Where
it was
I'm
pretty
just
much
somewhere else.
yeah, pretty much a lot of your life was like that, right?
So there was the flight,
Right.
right? The run.
Right,
run
that's
away.
so what was your question?
So say somebody who might be listening to this
Right.
might have that,
Right,
where
right,
something
right.
is happening, maybe there's conflict or tension or something's escalating, and they just, this automatic thing happens that they don't feel like they have much control over.
Right. So we have a couple of tools that there's several ways that are possible to get there, but we like predictability. So we have this tool called the presence breath,
Right.
which helps, because when that happens, when you pull away, a whole bunch of things are happening. Right, your body is producing a bunch of hormones.
Yep.
Yep.
Your
There's
pupils are dilated. Your blood is pumping.
Yeah, your adrenaline gland is going crazy. Cortisol is coursing through so you're actually
your
having a
digestive
physical
system
reaction.
shuts down.
Right.
Right.
But so first of all, we need to just
Respond.
acknowledge that that's happening, first of all.
Yeah.
And then go, is there another way that I could deal with this? But this is the piece, this is where it gets sticky, is if that emotional response has kept me alive to this point.
Right.
If I change it, I'm going to feel unsafe.
And this is where people don't stick with the presence breath.
Right, because when you first start to open that up, everything that all of you, whether you're 8 or 18 or 80, all of your life experience is telling you that you're not safe.
Right. But if you, and this automatic response is what's going to keep you alive.
Right.
So just go back to that.
And it's true.
It has kept us alive. To this moment.
But we have to also kind of acknowledge.
Want more than that.
Yeah. So survival is not necessarily thriving.
Right.
So what we're saying at the expansion project is there's life beyond survival.
Right.
Right. There's life, a big, bold, beautiful life beyond survival. So we're not going to teach the whole thing here today because that would take a long time.
That would take some time.
But we are going to bring up the fact that if you're interested with this type of thing, we're going to talk more about this, but that first thing is sovereign agency.
Right.
First thing that we need to learn is that I can be responsible. Just the idea of that.
I get to make a choice here.
I get to make a choice. So I get to make a choice whether to be mad at my mother-in-law or not to be mad. She didn't make me mad.
Right. I get a choice even as my nervous system is flooded with these hormones and these body responses.
I can stay with it.
Even in that, I have
can
a choice.
stay with it.
Yeah.
And I can notice it.
Rather than checking out or fighting or the different
and
things.
even just noticing it. Oh.
Right. This is happening.
And as soon as we notice it, now this is something that I learned, is that I'm not in it.
Right.
So I can't observe something and be in something at the same time. So if you maybe you can put a little bit of a lens on that, but if I'm totally absorbed in my emotion, it's just how I am. I'm not even looking for a way out.
It's also the part of the brain that's activated.
Okay.
Right? So when we're having that physiological response, the part of the brain that's activated is our survival reflex, or what's called the reptilian brain.
Right.
As soon as we observe it, we move to our cognitive thinking brain, right? That can actually observe something.
Right.
And so there's less blood flow. I mean, I'm really simplifying it here, but there's less energy going to the back of the brain, which is wired for survival, and more to the front, which is wired for problem solving.
Right.
So even in the midst of a physiological response, we can make a decision to shift where we can choose what part of the brain we use.
Right.
It takes practice.
Of course.
Right. Yeah. And a fast way to do that is through this simple breath, because you can really calm down the nervous system really quickly.
Right.
Now, how's this all connected to timing?
Well, it's all connected to timing, because if we are in our cognitive state and we're making all our decisions out of that, we will judge the outcome of all the timing.
Right. And when we say cognitive state, what we're referring to is that kind of contracted state where we're identifying with our human mammal, with our survival mechanisms, rather than the expansion of who we really are, which is where we have access to our intuitive mind and the unified field of consciousness. So which is some big language. So
yeah. But so what we're saying is two things. You have sovereign agency.
Yep.
And there's two states of being.
There's two states of being. Right.
So in the contracted state, we're in survival mode of some type. Could be fear, whatever that is.
We're closed. We're shut down.
We're closed. We're at that point, we have no access to our intuition.
Right.
That's the big thing. Now, how we get there, but in the other state, then we have access to our intuition.
Right.
So then if we're talking about a decision and I'm in my intuitive mind, and I pull into that same parking spot, it's going to feel completely different. Or if I don't get the parking spot, I'm not going to be.
Well, life just feels less like a fight.
Yeah, because we're not in fight and flight. And
Right.
so, and the other thing is that you've noticed is the amount of energy it takes to make to have an opinion or about everything.
What are you trying to say, Texas? Are you saying I'm an opinionated person? I think you're right. But it's true.
Right. It's like, I don't like the way that person dresses. That person's driving too fast. The groceries are too high.
Oh my gosh, right? It's exhausting. Well, and that comes from, for me, that's the adaptation of the controlling behavior.
Right.
Right. So in one of the things that we teach in advanced consciousness therapy, so for those who are interested, this is a new therapeutic modality that we're developing, or that we've developed that we're going to be teaching soon, where people can learn about how to take other people through the presence breath and the presence protocol. And one of the kind of principles within that is something called adaptations. And there's these 6 adaptations. And each one of us has the ones that we kind of gravitate to, the ones that we've kind of been really honing throughout our lifetime. And for me, the one for me is controlling behaviors, which is like, things have to go a certain way. If they go a certain way, I feel safe and comfortable. If they don't, I get really prickly. That's changing because as we shift out of contraction, as we shift out of that closed experience into this more open experience, the same
stimulus?
No. There's actually some tools and some gifts that come out of those old behaviors. Right. So instead of controlling behaviors, it turns into inspired action. So I'm actually much more able to like follow good timing and follow flow as far as like this. Now I need to act in this way. Now I need to create or do this thing rather than like try to control my whole environment so that everything's always a particular way.
So one of the things that happens, correct me if I'm wrong, is when you're in flow and you're having inspired action, it's going to sound kind of counterintuitive, but it's like, I don't have to have the outcome.
I don't have to.
That's what's removed. That's what's removed.
Different. It's uncomfortable at first.
Right, because you go, okay, so
I'm going to go buy groceries.
And so if I pick that up in my brain, it'll go, well, because everything's going to be on sale then. Right? Like right away.
There needs to be some sort of a reason, some sort of a physical. Like, so, okay, back to your groceries example, right? So
you guys everybody's going to be getting hungry because we're talking about groceries. But anyway.
Right? But it's like, okay, say, for example, I need milk from the grocery store, right? And then I'm going to have to get milk. This actually happened last week. Funny. There was a whole thing. I didn't tell you about my milk story. So I was supposed
to tell me anything. She said, farmer's market should tell me what the milk is.
So the milk, I knew that, my kids go through milk at a certain pace. And so I kind of know when it's time to get the milk. And so I was going to get milk, but then got busy, didn't get to it, and then didn't think about it. And then I wanted to make chai. Now, chai, to make it properly, you need milk, proper milk.
Not any kind of milk.
Proper milk for your proper chai. And I didn't tell anybody this. This was all in my own head, right?
Where we live most of the time.
I know. So we get home. I'm starting to make the chai before checking in the fridge for milk because I'm like, oh, there's like half a bottle of milk in there. Like there's lots of milk.
She has 2 teenagers. Probably not.
Half a bottle is about 3 glasses of milk, okay? 3. And the night before, half of a bottle was there. So I'm making the chai and guess what? Time to add the milk.
No milk.
No milk.
Again with the loud eyes.
And I was like, what? And I was mad, and I was huffing and puffing. And it's like a whole thing. Because you have to like cook the spices in the water with the tea bag. Like there's a whole thing. There's a production, right? Until you finally add the milk. And then there's no freaking milk. And so then I'm like, Rabia! And I called her down and she's like, yes. Like that, totally like that. And she's like, yes, Mom. I'm like, did you drink all the milk? Now, I know she drank the milk.
Yes.
I didn't need to do that.
No.
But I said, did you drink all the milk? And she's like, was I not supposed to
drink milk? Because that's what we buy it for.
Was I not supposed to? And I was like, well, I was trying to make chai and now there's no milk for chai. And she's like, and I could see it in her. Like, she just like totally like busted up her day, right? Because I overreacted. Now, what was I really upset about? I had a thing, like, I knew.
How did you know?
And also, well, so that whole example that I'm giving, the reason I'm giving that example is the learning for me was how I have a tendency to blame other people when things go wrong.
Right.
Look for someone to blame.
That's what we've been trained to do.
Rather than open the fridge and check myself, is there milk? It was like, oh, I'm sure it's there, and go ahead. And so after, when I calmed down, I did the presence protocol, I did the whole protocol, and I went back to her and I was like, Rabia, I really overreacted about that milk, and I'm really sorry. That wasn't fair, the way I talked to you. And she's 12. Like, this is my 12-year-old daughter. I don't need to talk to her like that. But I was talked to like that a lot. And so that's that automatic pattern of blaming someone else, and like this tension in the household, and this isn't my food. This is food my parents bought for me, and so I have to be careful of how much, like all of that came flooding through, right? So, and that's the control.
That's the control.
It has to be my way, or somebody's going to pay.
Right.
Ooh, that should be a T-shirt. Maybe not. Maybe with the big circle with a line through it.
You're so.
Because I'm still learning, right?
Well, yeah, we're all learning.
We're
all
still
learning.
like, it's like I expand and then a little bit contract and then expand, and then it's like slowly learning to do it in this different way.
But the gold nugget in this, for me, is we talk a lot about micro adjustments. And as you start to go into this work, if you're interested in doing this work of coming out of your old behaviors and coming out of your old patterns and having another way to look at life, it's not going to always be some great big thing.
It could be just a little interaction, you know. But
it becomes, way I see those, like the thing with you and Rabia that you just talked about, it's like a sliver that's festered, right?
Right.
And it's annoying until you actually take it out and you go, oh man, there was some stuff behind that. There was some infection in that thing, right? And it can clear.
And then, so can I finish the milk story?
I don't think I have a choice. She's controlling this whole interview.
Working on it. So on Saturday, I was out with a friend, and I found this chai, like this little tea shop, and we found this little chai kind of stuff, and I'm like, ooh. So then guess what I did? I went home, and guess what I did? I checked the fridge. First. And I saw that the milk was there, and then I told Rabia I was making chai, and then she watched me. Learned what I was doing, and then we put the milk in, and it was just this really, like, and we laughed about me and my crazy milk thing. And I actually talked to her. I went deeper the second time, because then we had a conversation about how growing up, I was the eldest child, the eldest daughter, and my responsibility was to make sure also from a single parent family, and I was often in charge of meals. And so one of the things I remember a lot is waking up in the morning trying to have cereal, and my brother and sister had finished all the milk. Actually, I had poured the milk for them.
Right.
And so there was none left for me.
So stuff.
And it was so emotional. Like, so when I was sharing that with my daughter, it's like all these emotions came up, right? Around how these patterns from like decades ago are showing up in my parenting.
But the key thing, I think, for people maybe listening, and you and I have talked a lot about this, is that you took responsibility for your reaction. And you had another another place to go. You could come out of your reaction and contraction.
Yeah, and quickly. Within the same few moments.
come back into expansion.
Right.
So then
not feel that shame.
No, because then that intuitive voice can start to show you, oh, this is hooked to that.
Right.
And you don't need to necessarily need a therapist.
Right, because it just came internally, right?
Right.
Like, oh, this whole
you
milk
know
thing.
your own truth. Exactly. I think we all, maybe for folks listening out there, I think we all have a sense that we know our own truth.
Well, and this is back to that timing thing, right? So in the past, when I've worked with therapists, I'd come in with something I wanted to work on. Like, I want to work on this thing about being the eldest daughter and being a caregiver for my siblings. Right?
It's the thing.
And maybe we do that in session. But what's happening now is that as it's ready to be released, it's coming up organically in real time in my life, right? Through these little moments that are actually becoming really healing moments.
Right. And we talk about that when that intuitive voice speaks and you follow it, wherever it needs to move, the energy to move that thing comes with the inspiration to move it.
One of the things they talk about in psychedelic assisted therapy is this idea of the inner healer, that we all have an inner healer. We have a wisdom in us that's always moving us towards healing. Right. And in psychedelic journeys, you get access to that inner healer because the cognitive problem solving, it all softens. And so it's like all that's there then left is the healer. And doesn't always mean it's roses and butterflies. No. Right? It can be uncomfortable, but what if we can access that inner healer without psychedelic medicine? That's what we're finding. Yeah,
and the more we do this, and because I'm a proponent of psychedelic medicine, I think it's wonderful, but we can't be there all the time.
Right.
So so can I change and hold this when I'm with my family, when I'm in my job? Can I have these
in your day to day, not just when you're in a journey having an experience?
And I think that what I know for myself personally is that all of my life can become a teacher in a meditative state, right? It's all here for me to learn from. And
it doesn't mean you end up being like disjointed from your family and disconnected from your life.
Exactly the opposite. We had an opportunity to go see my grandkids that live here in town the other day, and I was really, really tired. And so I had it helps to have language around this because Monique and I have been doing this for a bit. I said, okay, I'm willing to go, but I also said, I really want to be present when I'm there. So I was able to do that with, but then it was also when it was time to go, I recognized that for me to just be there and be in a contracted state has no value.
Right. It actually can be damaging.
Right. So I was able to say, okay, this has been really great, and now I'm going to go home. And everybody sort of kind of used to that, and I was like, okay. So I felt really connected while I was there, and we can feel really connected to, obviously grandkids are an interesting thing, but we can also feel really connected to our jobs and to our spouses and to our kids and to our coworkers, to people if we're in that expanded state.
Right.
So obviously, if you're listening, you might go, well, I don't know about this expanded state, and what's he talking about with intuition? Keep tuning in, right?
We have lots of other podcast episodes. We have a YouTube channel that you can check out. You can join our newsletter if you like.
And I think one of the things that's really interesting with the expansion project is that we really want people to have a predictable way, a repeatable way to find out who they really are, right? And it's doable. And we're excited about that this is a place to come back home to who you really are, as long as we own who we really are.
Let me tell you one more story about timing.
Okay. Can I have some water?
Sure.
Thank you. Just checking to see if this was a good time.
While Texas takes his sip of water. So 3 months ago, we did this live event.
We did.
In a small town, and it was an incredible event.
We had fun.
We had a lot of fun. It was a full day, half day immersive workshop. And so we taught some concepts. We did some group activities. The whole audience was involved. We did some guided meditation. Like it was like a whole thing, all wrapped up, all doing the thing. Part of what we decided was to get professional videographers to record that event, and so that we could have some footage.
Right.
And our plan was to make kind of a quick, under 2-minute little medley of the event, so that we could kind of show people this is what we
happens.
do. Yeah, this is how we do it, and this is what we do. And then so we were all excited. We got all the stuff, and then it took a while for them to get the right files to us, and blah blah blah, and then that project just kind of sat. And there was a couple of times when somebody tried to pick it up and start working on it, but it's it wasn't working, and it wasn't working, and it wasn't working. And so finally, just a couple yesterday, I got this really strong, inspired voice that said, "Today's the day. You're going to do this thing." And because the person, it was my husband who had the project to finish, and then he'd asked me for my help with it a couple of weeks ago, and we hadn't lined up. And so yesterday was the day that we lined up on it. And it was so much fun
Mm-hmm.
to pull it together. It was like we were being creative together. We were joking around with each other. We were trying things. Some things worked. Other things didn't work. We deleted stuff. We put new stuff. We got the perfect music. And this whole thing that felt like really tedious and really difficult because we're going through 4 hours of a videotape to make a 2-minute thing. Yeah. So it's not an easy task.
Could be.
It could be and it had felt like a very difficult task. Mm-hmm. And the little bit that Faizan had been chipping away at it was very, like he had already done a lot by the time I showed up yesterday, right? But to pull it all together. Right. And when I haven't really been thinking about, I've been feeling into that and why yesterday was the day. And a big part of it was that our relationship has been evolving. Mm-hmm. Our connection to each other has been evolving. And as we find more fun and more flow in our marriage, it makes space then for us to do tasks together. Oh. Right?
Right.
That can feel really tedious otherwise.
Yeah. And maybe that's the whole reason for the video.
And so that's the timing piece, right? It's like it took, like if somebody was paying us to do this, they'd be like, it's been this many days and you still haven't delivered on the outcome of the final thing. And there's a little bit of that. There's a little bit of that like frustration of like, okay, when's this going to be done?
Yeah, absolutely.
But it wasn't just about the product.
And then also other people in our team are seeing openings now for the video that you guys created. It was like both those things were working in tandem
at the same time, right?
So that's
the timing piece, right? Like the timing isn't necessarily what my brain thinks the timeline should look like,
right?
Because my brain thinks the timeline should look like, we completed the session, like we did the workshop, and by the next weekend we should have had the video.
Absolutely,
right? Mm-hmm. But it didn't work that way.
Right. We just kept
letting it go, and saying, well, there's some reason for this delay.
Exactly.
And we'll just stay patient. And
you guys,
I'm going to talk about what the final product was from your perspective.
Well, the final product was what I'd hoped it would be when it was done, because so much of this work, I think the challenge in working in consciousness is that it can't be really experienced at all with the cognitive mind. It must be experienced
with the whole self.
In a whole self, right? And what you'll see if you click on and watch the video is that was what you guys captured in the video, was many, many people. And you can see by their expressions and by their body and by their posture and what's being said that I'm having an experience that's much bigger than I thought I could have, right? And what we're here to say is that those peak experiences, which is what happens at a place like that, are repeatable in your everyday.
Right. They're not just confined to that 4-hour immersive workshop, right? That we could have those over, and that's what we're teaching people, how to have those experiences over and over, day to day in your regular life, because that's how we were designed.
Yeah.
We were actually designed to live in ease and flow and abundance and prosperity, and not to say you'll never have a difficulty, because that also helps us grow.
But the perspective on the difficulty can be shifted.
Right. And sometimes you might yell at your kid about the milk.
Yeah.
Right. And then
but then when you moved back into expansion, you had the opportunity not only to heal that moment, but to heal yourself and to teach Rabia how to heal herself. And all of that stuff happens, right? Yeah. So we're super excited to be doing this work. And
there's just so much more to come. Like we can feel all these ideas are percolating and people in our team are bringing forward things. And so stay connected, stay in touch, keep listening. Send us your questions if you have them. You can email us with those.
Yeah. And I think our podcast is to pique your interest. We're not necessarily trying to teach you how to do this, because but if you really want to get into it,
get the book.
Buy the book.
Start with the book. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's the safest, easiest thing, is because it's all there and in depth.
Right.
And then if stuff comes up after you read the book, and then once a month, Monique does a Q&A on the book.
Right. So it's usually the first Monday of the month at 5:00 Pacific for an hour. She'll just answer questions about the book.
Yeah. So we want to build capacity for people to learn who they really are.
So thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you very much.